We'll be discussing something very, very important today. We're talking about global citizenship, the importance of learning a second language. Pastor Tokes, what do you think about second language?
Well, not just second language, but second, third, and fourth languages.
Wow.
The more languages you can speak, the better. And on a most basic level, I certainly found out that language gives you positioning, language gives you access, language gives you platforms that goes beyond education and basic university education, whatever. Language is just, I mean, when you look at language, it's so serious and so important that even God started talking about language right from the beginning. You remember there was an instance when people were trying to build some great tower to go to God, and that was the first point where God brought in multiple languages. Yeah, in that context, what he did, which you all know, was that he introduced, God knows, about 100 foreign languages. In such a way that the guys couldn't get to
understand each other.
But let's lose sight of the issue was that God brought in several languages. So that was the birth of multiple languages. And from that moment, human beings, the world has not remained the same. Now, in that situation, it was used to bring people back to understand. And that's in the book of Genesis chapter 6.
That's very correct, sir. I need to ask this. All over the world, globalization is what everybody talks about.
Right.
What is the impact of being part of this global village if I don't understand the language of the global village? What do you think? I mean, relate language, a second foreign language or a third foreign language, like you said, to globalization.
Oh, well, I'll give you a very simple experience. Bill Gates was interviewed by an IT organization called Reddit. And they asked him a simple question. One of the questions they asked him was, what is your one only regret in life? And they said, you really want to know it? And they were thinking, well, you'll talk about how I've not been able to finish from Harvard, dropping out of school, not being able to do this. But he said, my only one regret in life was I can speak more than one language.
Wow.
And they said, but why do you think that's a minus? He said, because in the global context, that brings me to the issue of globalization. When we talk about globalization, we're talking about being a global citizen, being able to walk across the length and breadth of the earth without any limitation. Only language gives you that.
Wow.
Only multiple language gives you that. So in the course of that interview, they said, so why do you think you felt so? They said, look at the young guy who founded Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg. I mean, I always have problems. He said, Mark went to China and he blew the whole of China away because he got youth to start asking questions and he began to answer them in Chinese. So that means that not only was Mark able to speak American because he's American, he also, along the line, picked up Mandarin and he was able to use that language of Mandarin to reposition himself and to warm himself into the millions of young people who are the patronizers of IT in the world today. So you may say that Bill Gates feels, well, I'm a rich guy, but even Bill recognizes that that is a minus for him, that he couldn't speak one language. So when you bring it to a Nigerian context, there was a time, a one-time president of Nigeria, Obasanjo, was trying to contest for, I think, the United Nations post or something.
Yeah.
He lost it to, I think, Kofi Annan or something because Obasanjo could only speak English language. Well, I wouldn't say that perfectly. He can speak his Yoruba language very well, but you see, that doesn't make you a global person. Doesn't make you a global player. You're a local player. When you speak only your mother tongue and only one international language, whichever way you look at it, you can speak outside, Igbo, whatever, but you're only speaking one international language. In fact, Nigeria has even done something right now. It's in the plan to introduce French as a second language. They've actually passed it through a lot of bills right now.
Wow.
I think in the course of time, it's going to find its way into our educational curriculum in such a way that French will be a second compulsory language to be done in schools.
I know that United Nations recognizes 7 global languages, of which you mentioned French as one of them.
Yeah.
Now, does that mean, because when I was trying to fill out a form, you know, for something to do with career and volunteering and things like that, and they actually asked, which of these 7 international languages can you speak? And I couldn't speak.
They are trying to set you up.
I couldn't speak any of them. So I need to ask you this, for the benefit of our listeners. does it mean that a disadvantage in an international foreign language can actually make the difference in a career move?
Well, I just spoke about the Obasanjo thing. Obasanjo lost that Secretary Generalship of the United Nations to Kofi Annan. Just for the base. He was a great statesman. Everyone respects him. They feel that if he brings that into the United Nations, it will actually position the United Nations. But there was nothing he could do about it. When he looked at how many international languages he could speak, he could only speak English. Kofi Annan could speak about 4. And so automatically, it just went to him. I found out that the Bible is very relevant to every situation of human life. And I'll give you a very good example. I'll give you 2 examples. In the beginning, I told you about the issue in Genesis chapter 6. Yes. And then there's another issue in the book of Acts chapter 2. A new initiative was about to be birthed. It was called the church. And a lot of people had come into the city of Jerusalem. And then suddenly, Bible records, and Bible is very, very valid and very powerful on language to let you know that God is very global. Mm-hmm. God is a global God. God thinks globalization, God thinks languages, and God knows the essence of languages. God looked at how do I convince these multinationals who had come into Jerusalem. And the thing he did was he released various foreign languages. In fact, the Bible records that the people, about 3,000 people, were one. And if you talk about that in the area of business, that is 3,000 new clientele.
That's right.
So let me relate it to corporate, okay, to business success, for the singular reason that these people, 120 people, spoke all the languages of the world. 3,000 people were added to their course. They believed in what they were pushing. Now, apart from the fact I'm a pastor, I'm saying language is that powerful that if you use it, it will position whatever it is you are doing. Your business, your church, your family, your career, okay? Everything. That is an instance. There's also another instance. A guy called Paul. Paul is a guy who also was doing things related to church. Yeah. And it came to a point that he had been accused of trying to influence people to believe what he had believed. And they brought him before the king. And they were going to sentence him. And just before that, Paul was a Jew, was Hebrew. Now, the people who were about to sentence him, okay, were a company of people who were Greeks. And Paul was very smart because he could speak multiple languages. He spoke to the guy who was going to bring him before the tribunal in Greek language. And I can tell you, you can verify that in the book of Acts chapter 21, verse 37 to 40. In fact, the guy was stunned. He said, I thought you were an Egyptian. Paul says, I'm an Hebrew, but I also speak another foreign language of Greek. Wow. And you know, in those days, Greek language was, because Greece had just lost the rulership of the world, and then it was now Romans that were in charge. Yes. Okay, but then, even then, the legacy of Greek education and Greek philosophies had always been so recognized and appreciated, even till today. You're talking about the Plutos, talking about Aristotle, talking about the others guys. You know, so Greek Greek education and Greek philosophies, and of course, the Greek language was the defining factor for whoever was going to make a difference or move a big mileage in the corporate. So Paul spoke the Greek language, apart from the fact that he could speak the Hebrew language and he could speak the Arabic language. You know, so you see that even the Bible supports that language is of essence. When I began to recognize this in the course of my life, I said to myself, I need to learn another international language. Wow. So I began to learn French. And it's amazing that today, when I went to France. I went to France and we were trying to find our way. And my wife was looking at me and said, well, all the French you said you were glad to speak, now it's time.
Yeah, speaking.
At least I couldn't speak well because, again, the language, one thing about language is that you have to be able to speak it regularly for fluency. Okay? But even though I couldn't speak it, okay, fluently, at least I understand language. Yeah. I could read it, I can listen to what they're saying, and I could interpret what they're saying. And that gave us a bit of advantage in a foreign nation of France.
This is incredible for what you've said and all the discussions we've had with you in time past. Yes. That even in the olden days, you know, many people learn more than one language. Right. I need to ask you this. What are we not doing right as a country when it comes to education and foreign languages? What can we do better? Well,
first of all, like I said, Nigeria is putting something together in the area of French. It's going to go into the curriculum where French will be an official second language in Nigeria. I think it's going to be, things happen.
Takes a while
in Nigeria, but really, I think it's found its way into legislation, and in the course of time, education institutions in Nigeria will have to go through not just English but also French. So that's a good direction. That's a good point. That's a step in the right direction. So I think it's going to happen. But in the meantime, I think that young people or anyone of that shouldn't wait at all. My daughter came back from the UK from her first degree in the UK, and she said to me, "I have decided to pick up Mandarin."
Wow.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, she didn't even wait for me. She had gone and done some little things on that, and she had passed the first stage, and she was showing me how she has passed it. And now she's thinking of doing a master's in China. And it is always going to be a competitive advantage that foreign languages, knowing more than one international language, will give to you. Because world businesses right now are being transacted, and the world is going in the area of China. So if you can speak Mandarin, great. If you can learn the Mandarin language, I'm just giving it as a freebie.
Yeah.
If you can learn the Mandarin language, you might be able to transact and position yourself in business in the days to come. Because even statistics have shown that by 2040, the economy of America will have been surpassed by the economy of China.
Yeah.
So China is going to be the next big power block in the years to come. Okay?
Wow.
So take my advice, learn. If you can pick up quickly,
I will. I'm going to try.
Add Spanish to it.
So I heard it's very hard.
Yeah.
I heard Mandarin is very hard.
Well,
I'm going to try.
Well, language is hard because again, you're not born into it. But if you take it seriously and you can get to now, there are interactions you can have. There are software that you can use. You can deliberately just decide to pay a visit to some China. Even though China is a bit of a distance, but there are a lot of Chinese around.
That's true.
You can have interaction with them. And who knows, you might just, but there is no excuse.
The more
it doesn't matter. If you're going to have a competitive edge in the global world in which we live in right now, you must be able to speak more than one foreign language.
Okay, I've got one more question, sir. And this question is this: what does it take to take one of our local languages and propel it and make it an international foreign language to somebody else? Is it possible that at some time somebody somewhere would have to learn Yoruba or Igbo or Hausa so they can transact business with a massive Nigerian economy? Do you think that's possible?
Yeah, it's already happening. You have people who are coming to Nigeria. Well, some guys, there are two guys, and there's a lady I know who did research in Yoruba.
Wow.
And she's doing a lot of things in Nigeria right now. Trying a conk Yoruba language. She lives in Houston, and she's studying Yoruba language in Houston. But you see, that will help her to be able to do transaction if she's trying to do something in Nigeria. That's fine. But again, if she's trying to do something in the Yoruba environment, that's fine. But I think much more, I would say that it has to do, but the focus should be more on a lot of international languages that are used in business
clients.
Yes. Business languages. Okay, you go to Hong Kong, you go to China, you go to Spain, you go to England, you go to everywhere. Languages that actually you can use to transact in economic environments.
There you go. It's incredible. I'm blown away. This is present truth, and you best believe it. Okay, Pastor Talks is going to give us his final word, and I think that you should pay attention to what this great man of God is about to say. Thank you, sir.
Language proficiency will give you that leadership that you need to have, that edge that you need to have, and we all need that edge actually. So let's get working. Let's go to school. Let's get some software. Let's go pay for some short courses on language, and let's get some interactions globally so that we can be the global citizen that we ought to be, that can compete and win our world. Thank you so much for listening to this.
This present truth will come to you in our next episode, and I'm sure you're curious what we're going to be talking about next. Stay tuned, and then you will be part of this show. Thank you very much. Have a lovely day.